Right now, the situation inside ZANU-PF has taken a very emotional and serious turn as Christopher Mutsvangwa struggled to hold himself together while speaking about the late Victor Matemadanda. This was not a normal political speech. This was something deeper, something personal, something that showed the real weight of history and friendship. As he stood there remembering Matemadanda, his voice started to shake, and you could see clearly that this was not just about politics. This was about years of shared struggle, years of fighting together during the Liberation War, and years of building a nation side by side. These are not small things. These are life-defining experiences. And at that moment, everything changed. The strong, firm tone that people are used to hearing from Mutsvangwa became soft. The words slowed down. The emotions came out. This is something many people have never seen before from him. Victor Matemadanda was not just any leader. He was part of a generation that carried the burden of the liberation struggle. He stood for war veterans. He spoke strongly, and he remained active in national matters. So his passing is not just the loss of a person. It is the loss of a voice, a memory, and a piece of Zimbabwe's history. As Mutsvangwa continued speaking, he began to open up more than expected. He spoke about the Liberation War in a way that felt real and direct. He talked about the pain, the fear, the sacrifices, and the unity that kept them going. He made it clear that the war was not easy. It was full of danger, uncertainty, and difficult choices. And at this point, I want you to pause and think about this. These were young people at that time. Many of them left their homes, their families, and everything they knew to fight for a future they could not even see clearly. That alone tells you how serious that period was. Now, as you are listening to this gist, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is where you get the full story in a simple way that everyone can understand. Make sure you don't miss any updates. Let's continue. As the speech went deeper, Mutsvangwa started touching on things that are not usually said in public. He spoke about internal challenges during the war. He spoke about how not everything was perfect. There were moments of disagreement, moments of confusion, and moments where decisions had to be made very quickly. This part is very important because many times when history is told, it is made to look smooth and straight, but real life is not like that. Real life has ups and downs. And what Mutsvangwa did was to show that the liberation struggle also had those moments, but he did not speak in a negative way. He spoke in a way that showed respect for the journey. He made it clear that despite all the challenges, they stayed focused on the goal, which was to achieve independence. Now, this is where things become even more interesting. The timing of this emotional moment is very important. It is happening at a time when ZANU-PF is already facing internal discussions about leadership, direction, and the future. So when a senior figure like Mutsvangwa speaks like this, it naturally carries more meaning. It becomes more than just a tribute. It becomes a reminder of where the party comes from, a reminder of the sacrifices that were made, and a reminder that the foundation of everything we see today was built during that liberation struggle. And this is why many people are paying close attention to every word that was said. Now, let me bring you closer to the human side of this story. When someone breaks down while speaking, it tells you that the connection was real. This was not for show. This was not planned. This was something that came from the heart. Losing someone you fought with, someone you trusted in very difficult times, is not easy. And that is what we are seeing here. But at the same time, this moment has opened the door for more conversations. People are now asking questions. They want to understand more about the Liberation War. They want to hear the real stories, not just the official versions. They want to connect the past with the present. And this is where the younger generation comes in. Many young people today did not experience the Liberation War. They only hear about it. But when leaders start speaking in this open and emotional way, it makes the story feel more real and more relatable. It becomes something they can connect to. So this moment is not just about the past. It is also about how the past is being shared with the present generation. Now, before we go deeper, make sure you like this video and subscribe right now. Don't wait. Support the channel so we can keep bringing you this kind of clear and simple news. Let's continue the gist. Another key point you need to understand is that in Zimbabwean politics, the liberation war is not just history. It is also a source of influence and respect. People who took part in that struggle are seen in a certain way. Their voices carry weight. So when Mutsvangwa speaks about the war, people listen very carefully. And when it becomes emotional while doing so, it adds even more attention to what is being said. Now, let's look at Matemadanda again. He was known for standing firm on issues affecting war veterans. He was not afraid to speak. He was not afraid to challenge certain things. And that made him a strong figure within that group. So his absence creates a space that is not easy to fill. And this brings another important question. Who will carry these stories forward? Because the truth is, time is moving. The generation of liberation war fighters is getting older. And as time goes on, fewer people remain who can tell these stories from direct experience. That is why moments like this are very important. They are not just emotional moments, they are also historical moments. They give us a chance to hear directly from those who were there. And that is something that should not be taken lightly. Now, as we move forward in this gist, I want you to stay with me. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. This helps the channel grow and keeps you connected to real stories like this. Let's go deeper. There is also another layer to this story that you need to understand clearly. When leaders begin to speak openly about the past, it can also reflect what is happening in the present. Sometimes, looking back is a way of making sense of what is happening now. So people are also watching to see if this emotional moment will lead to more open discussions within the party. Will other leaders also start sharing more? Will there be more reflections on the liberation struggle? Or will things go back to normal after this period of mourning? These are the questions that are now in people's minds. At the same time, it is important to remain balanced. Not every emotional moment means there is something hidden or something negative. Sometimes, it simply shows the weight of memory and experience. And that is something we must respect. Now, imagine this. Standing in front of people, remembering a friend you fought with in very difficult conditions, remembering the risks, the losses, and the victories. It is not easy to control your emotions in that moment. And that is exactly what we saw. This is why this story has touched many people. It reminds us that behind every political figure, there is a human being. Now, let me pause here and ask you something. Do you think leaders should share more of these real stories from the liberation struggle? Or do you think some things should remain private? Drop your comments and let's talk about it. And once again, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Don't miss out on the next part of this story.